Let me tell you something. I do not like cleaning or updating our Pinterest profile. I don't like it. You know why? Because I perfected it last year. I made it exactly what it needed to be, and I really don't like having to go back and review it again and update it and but it must be done, especially on these ever-changing platforms. You've probably guessed it. That's what this video is all about. Today, it's time to update our Pinterest profile. So come with me. Let's update our Pinterest profile together. Let's clean it up, including those boards. Let's go do it. Hey guys, it's Tabby with Simple Pin Media, and we are a group of Pinterest experts here to help you effectively market your business on Pinterest. So we're here to clean up our Pinterest profile or Pinterest boards. Why? Why is that important? I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. You want to keep up with current best practices and make sure you have a profile that is optimized for searchability and for your audience to find you and all of your content that is super helpful and useful to them. Let's say you have a couple of boards that you created last spring. They really have nothing to do with your business. They were a personal use and you just kind of forgot to set them to private. Or maybe there are some new keywords that are relevant to your audience that they search a lot, and you can now maybe add those into board descriptions, profile description that might be useful to you. Or perhaps you have a lot of new content that needs a board to go to. Maybe you haven't created that board that needs to be created with all those great keywords in the description. So those are the kinds of things we want to do today. This is our #1 pin for years, like since the beginning. We created this blog post and podcast all about how to clean up your Pinterest boards, Pinterest profile. And the key wording that we used was strategic in that a lot of people are looking to organize, declutter, clean up around springtime. So it is how to spring clean your Pinterest boards or something like that. #1 pin for years. That is what we call an evergreen pin or a legacy pin. And that is why we love Pinterest. You can't say that with a post from Instagram. Anyway, back to Pinterest. Let's have a big picture idea of what we're doing today, just because sometimes you can sit down at the computer, pull up your Pinterest profile, and be completely overwhelmed with what to do first, how many of the things you should be doing. It might get a little overwhelming. So here's the breakdown. First, we're going to open up our Pinterest profile, look at the very top. We're going to look at the cover image. Is it relevant to your brand? Is it high quality? Does it paint a good picture of what you or your business is all about? Next, we're going to look at the title. Is it keyworded? Well, also, does it have your business name in it, or your name if you are the business? And then any relevant keywords, like your top keywords that really have to do with what you're all about. And ours would be Pinterest marketing. Next, the description, giving a little bit more context to your business, including keywords, and maybe your top product that is like your keystone product. And then we're going to head on over to the saved tab, and that's where we're just going to assess our boards. We're going to look at each board title and each board description. We're also going to look at any group boards that you might be a part of and assess their viability, their relevance to you and your business, and then just clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up. Really quite simple. Let's walk through it. Okay, so I pull up our Simple Pin Media account, and the cover image is still really great, still relevant, still exactly who we are and what we're all about. So I'm really happy with it. I don't think it's outdated. I don't think it needs to be updated. I just recently updated the profile picture, which is the image in the circle part, from an image of Kate All, who is the owner and founder of Simple Pin, to our logo, Simple Pin Media, just because we've kind of branched out, we've gotten a little bigger, we have more people involved in creating content for Simple Pin Media, educating our audience for Pinterest marketing. So it has become a business more all-encompassing with more individuals involved. Then we have the title. Obviously, we have Simple Pin Media. Then we have kind of our main keywords, which would be Pinterest marketing and management. Let's drop it down to the description. So here we put Pinterest marketing and management services for small businesses. In the title, I said who we are. In the description, I am saying what we do for you. And then we talk about our keystone products, like the Simple Pin podcast and the Simple Pin planner. Now, you'll probably notice we have an error, a typo at small businesses. I am not going to edit that, and here's why. Pinterest has been known to take out the word Pinterest from your profile. So for example, there have been other Pinterest marketing agencies or Pinterest managers who have their own Pinterest marketing business, kind of like us, and they had Pinterest in their description or in their title. And once they went to edit their description or their title, Pinterest would no longer allow them to put that word Pinterest in there. And I would like to keep the word Pinterest in our description just because that's what we're all about. We help people market their business on Pinterest. So I am willing to leave that typo. I'm willing to leave that typo. So then we scroll down and our first tab is under shop because we have a shop. We are a verified merchant on Pinterest, and so we have a shop tab. I'm not going to spend time on this today. There are a few things you can do to kind of update, refresh this tab, and mostly that would include the featured categories, which are those bigger squares there. Ours would be Pinterest templates and e-commerce and Pinterest marketing essentials. You can edit those. You can either add other featured categories. You can create new featured categories. I'm really happy with what we have here. 3 main categories here, and I am going to leave that alone. So then the next tab would be created. This is also a tab we're not really going to spend time on today. It's where all of your original or new content goes. So if you create an idea pin, it's going to go there. When you have a brand new pin that you've never pinned before, it's also going to go in this tab. Let's head over to Save. This is where your boards are stored. So this is where we're going to work today. For the sake of time, I am not going to go through every single board that we have for this video, but I am going to go through a few just to give you an example of what I will be doing when I'm off the camera. So let's go to the board Simple Pin Media. This is where we put all of our podcast pins and any other pins that maybe we have, like a landing page to sign up for a freebie or something like that. They all go in our Simple Pin Media brand board. You don't have to have a branded board. The most important thing that you want to make sure you're doing with your boards is creating relevant, keyworded boards that are exactly what your audience is searching for on Pinterest. In other words, it's not about you. It's about what are your people going into Pinterest and typing in the search bar trying to find. Those are the types of boards you want to create. So for this board, I'm not going to worry about the title so much because it is a brand board, but I am going to look at the description. It says Simple Pin Media blog post to help you get the most out of your Pinterest marketing. Helpful Pinterest strategies, making it easy for you to implement without wasting a ton of time. I think this description is perfect. It's exactly what all of our pins are about. Keywords would be pin, Pinterest marketing, Pinterest strategies, time. Those are all great keywords. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of scroll down just a little bit and make sure you are not seeing the same pin over and over again. That is an indication that you are overpinning the same pin to the same board. You don't want to see the same pin over and over again. If you're seeing the same pin in the same board over and over again, you're going to want to change up your tactics there. So then let's go to a different board here. Idea pin creation. This is a kind of a newer board that I've made. just because obviously idea pins came into the picture in 2020 and they started gaining momentum. And so now we have all this education on idea pins and podcasts about idea pins. So obviously I had to make a board for that. So this is a great time for you to think, okay, do I have new content that I have created in the last year that is around at least two to three blog posts or products or what have you around a new topic that you weren't talking about before? And so now it's a good time to create that board for those pieces of content. Let's read the description. Idea pins are the top prioritized pin format on Pinterest. Learn how to create great idea pins that capture your audience's attention and give you a boost in engagement. Get idea pin inspiration, best practices, and education here. I am pleased with that description. I have a lot of keywords in here. Idea pins, pin format, Pinterest, create, audience, engagement, inspiration, best practice. I have a ton of keywords in here. I'm pretty proud of myself. Sometimes, you just knock it out of the park. Yeah. So let's check the pins and the variety. I think it's looking pretty good. I was actually a little bit concerned about this one because it's a newer board. There's definitely the potential with a newer board to kind of oversaturate it, the same pins. But we're doing great. We're doing good. Okay, let's look at another board. Here's an older board, pinning strategies. The common question we get, pinning workflow, pinning strategy, Pinterest strategy. So that title is spot on. Let's look at the description. Tips for the best times to pin images, topics, and more. The science of pinning broken down on one highly valuable board. A little bit too many commas here. If you are pinning for business, this is a must-follow board. I think I want to update that description. First of all, there are some typos in there. Secondly, it doesn't flow really well. It's hard to follow. And I think I could add in a few more keywords. I might say something more like tips for how to pin, when to pin, and creative best practices. Find all the education on Pinterest strategy and tactics here. That's it. And again, we're going to look through the pins, making sure that we are not overpinning one pin and it looks great. Let's move on to group boards. We get this question a lot about group boards. Should I invest in group boards? Should I join group boards? Create group boards? The short answer is no. You really don't have to. It used to be a strategy, a tactic that we would recommend, but Pinterest has changed over the last couple of years quite a bit, and group boards really aren't as beneficial to you as they used to be, including pin sharing. It is actually more beneficial for you now to focus on your own content, create great content weekly, and then create beautiful capturing standard pins and high value idea pins, and maybe even some video pins if you have the right footage, and focus on that instead rather than having the right group boards with the right contributors and making sure that you're pinning their content or making sure that the group board is fair with, a good mix of everybody's content and not just one person flooding the group board. Like, there's a lot there that you really don't need to waste your time on. Focus on your own content and creating great content. But if you do have group boards, which we have a lot of, and they are still working for you just because they've been in the algorithm for a while, they're still getting seen, great. Keep them. That's wonderful. But you can also evaluate group boards to determine if they're really not valuable to you anymore. You can just move them to secret. Now, keep in mind that with our group board, the majority of them are not at all anything to do with our niche about Pinterest marketing. A lot of them are food, home decor, products, a lot of different things. That's because we have another side of our business where we actually manage accounts for different bloggers, different business owners, different product sellers. And so we like to have group boards for them to kind of collaborate with each other. And that stems back to the day when that really mattered. And a lot of them still do fairly well for our clients, so we keep those. I don't recommend that you do that for your business. Make sure if you join a group board or start a group board that it is relevant to your business. Now, we do have a few group boards that are Pinterest marketing specific, so let's look at one of those. Okay, so let's look at this one, Pinterest marketing. This is a board that is not owned by us. We are a contributor, so I can't edit the title, I can't edit the description, but I can look at the saturation. So this is why we do this every year. I have not been going into these boards and checking to see if anybody else is active in them. It looks like it is just us pinning to this board. And it looks like we're not really getting any activity on it. I will actually go into my analytics and look at all of our group boards and look at how much engagement are we getting from that board? How many saves are we getting from that board? Things like that. And then that will help me determine if that board is still good for me to be spending time pinning to. And if you are the only person pinning to this board, it's probably a good indication that it's just really not a good group board and you don't own it. So it might be better to set that to secret. And then if you liked that board title and description, and what it was for your business, then you could create your own. Make sure you are checking your analytics and check the saturation of the board and the contributors, how many contributors there are and things like that. So let's look at another board. Here we go. Here's one, Pinterest blog tips. This is also a board that is not owned by us. So again, I can't edit the title or the description. I can look at the saturation here. It looks like, once again, we have a lot of just us pinning to it. So now I'm going to go look at my analytics, look at group board analytics specifically, and just see how this board is doing for us. By the looks of it, not great. I don't think so. So this might be one that I would set to secret. If you're going to have a group board, if you are going to invest in it, which again, you don't really need to, but if you're like, whatever, Tabitha, I still want to do it, make sure it's like 5 or less contributors and that you guys are kind of on the same page of pinning frequency so that one person is not oversaturating the other contributors. And so when you're part of a group board where there are 20 plus, I mean, I've seen some where it's like 100 contributors, your content is getting buried. It just is. And so it's really a waste of your time to pin to that board. Don't focus too much on it. Don't put a lot of stress or time into it, because really what you need to be doing is creating great content, getting that great content out on Pinterest with 2 to 3 great looking pins for that one piece of content. Create idea pins based on that content that is super helpful, tips, tutorials that really engages with your audience and gets them to want to follow you, to take advice from you, to look at more pins from you, to click, all of those things. That is what I want you to focus on. And then finally, as you are spring cleaning your Pinterest profile, your Pinterest boards, go through any boards that are not relevant to your business. Maybe they were at one time, they're not anymore, or maybe you made a personal board that you didn't set to private or secret. Go ahead and move those to secret. Make sure your boards are all about your business, because this will give a clear message to your audience of what you are knowledgeable in, the authority you have in your industry, and really it just makes it easy for them to get the information that they're looking for. Okay guys, that does it for me. If you are watching this and you're like, okay, I have updated my boards, my profile, but I really need help with creating great pins that capture my audience, watch this video next, and I'll see you next week.